Hello, I am Linda Hayes, Director of the Scituate Council on Aging and Senior Center, currently located at 27 Brook Street. Welcome to our inaugural program, cable television program, Seniorities, where we plan to cover a variety of topics of interest and importance to seniors as well as to upcoming seniors and the community at large, to promote healthy aging, friendly aging, helping everyone to be aware and informed where they or their loved ones are concerned on issues, challenges, and choices, as well as what we do and provide through the Council on Aging and at the Senior Center. With me today is John J.D. Miller, our current chair of the Council on Aging Board, as well as past president of the Scituate Rotary Club and owner for 12 years of Home Care Partners, providing in-home assistance in our local area, and of course, a Scituate resident. We are very lucky to have him serving with us as a member of the board, and with me today.
Nice to be here, Linda. Thanks for opening up.
You're welcome.
And Seniorities. So, as Linda stated, we want to talk about issues, services, etc., that is provided through the Council on Aging. Linda is the executive director, as she just said. So we wanted to just start off with some overview on services, on what happens, on who does what, on even just on a high level plane. So I wanted to get some information from Linda, and I don't mean to interrupt you here, but how long have you been at the Senior Center?
Okay. I have been with Scituate Senior Center for 3 years now. I came by way of the Duxbury Senior Center, and I live in Duxbury. So it was a second career for me, and I feel fortunate to have found my way to this role. I felt I had great experience from having served for 10 years at the Duxbury Senior Center, working on their programs, activities, became assistant director after 4 or 5 years, and really had a wonderful mentor in the director there, so felt I was ready to pursue this. It's a significant role, something I love doing, and it's great to work in the community and see the benefits every day with the people that we get to work with. It's wonderful.
I know we've talked offline numerous times about this. The Scituate population is significantly or moving towards almost a majority, if you will, of seniors. The Scituate population right now is probably 25% seniors, with, if you're looking at census data that's over the age of 60, moving towards probably 29 to 30%, and the expectations are that will go up to almost 40 to 50% in another 10 to 15 years.
I have those numbers.
Right. So we have a significant senior population in the town of Scituate. What happens at the Council on Aging in terms of an overview, in terms of servicing some of these people?
Well, we do try. I guess I would say that is why our programs and certainly services to a large degree happen at 65, let's say, but we want to be able to offer a wide range of opportunities and programs that would appeal to even younger. So 60, 55 and over, I mean, honestly, we don't cart at the door, but the idea is to have them interested, maybe already learning something if they need to, whether it's for a parent or themselves in terms of planning. But the idea is that we need to bring them in the door and have them stay and help develop what needs to happen in the future as well. I think today's upcoming seniors as well as the seniors that exist, they are more vocal about what they want and what they need and what they feel a senior center, first of all, should hopefully provide for them.
And we want to encourage that.
We do.
Participation and feedback.
Oftentimes it's through volunteers, and of course that's our lifeblood as well, in terms of supplementing what the staff can do and also getting their feedback and having them become very much part of how we develop.
Right. So I know you're going to, I'm going to turn it over to you here because we want to tell people about the services sort of that are under the umbrella that you're multitasking to try to make happen on a daily basis. And whether that's programs or transportation or coordinating volunteers or outreach or emergencies. So tell us a little bit about what happens at the Council on Aging.
Okay. Well, the Council on Aging, which is also the Senior Center, it's interchangeable, really. Council on Aging is the agency, is the public agency. We exist in almost every municipality, but also have the Executive Office of Elder Affairs with the state, who helps to guide us, in fact. So as director for the Council on Aging, I certainly have a number of functions, and they change almost daily, of course, depending on what we need. But budgets and funding and finding ways, and sometimes finding other money to support different things that we know maybe we would like to provide, in addition to the municipal budget that we work with. But state grants, and we get an annual state grant, which is called the Formula Grant, which, nicely enough, in the legislature has been very supportive and involved in it increasing each year by $1 so that the number of elders 65 and over is accounted for according to census, and so therefore when the number obviously has increased and the census hasn't been redone yet, they need to increase that. So the current formula grant was based on $10 per elder, and the legislature did support that for us, which was fabulous. But in addition, we have Social Elder Services, which is a social service agency for the state as well, and they can oftentimes provide monies that they have available through certain initiatives. The Cultural Council here, who's been very supportive of us. We have a new group in town, the Scituate Education Foundation, who is being very encouraging in terms of trying to share the money that they will amass and want to distribute for educational purposes, and we can become a candidate for that, which we hope to do. Other private or public opportunities, we are always looking.
Yep.
I am always looking and hope to find.
Yeah.
We want to connect with partners in the community and other departments, other municipal departments, which of course we work with all the time, but for instance, the fire and police are very good to us, help us with safety initiatives, might come and talk with the seniors anytime that we ask. So it's great for that. Looking at overall programming, the big picture, what do we want to be able to provide? What should we be doing? What are some current new trends that maybe we could pull in, some new ideas, and how to bring people in the door, going back to your earlier question.
Right.
Not to say they need to be younger, but we do deal with sort of multiple generations that we want to be able to help.
There's a big population that you're
connect, for that matter, because that does make it a much richer experience for everyone, and we do want to promote that. So I hope to provide a voice, of course, always with the town administration as well. And I do get assistance or ideas and thoughts from both the Massachusetts Council on Aging and the National Council on Aging, so hopefully my understanding is always updated through that or those means. The Aging Mastery Program is an example of that. I actually had been involved when I was in Duxbury in developing that, which was fabulous, and that had a lot to do with the respect people had for Joanne as director at that time, Joanne Moore. And we went to DC, we participated as one of the 5 councils on aging asked to help develop this program. Once I came here, it continued in Duxbury, and then the Massachusetts Council on Aging decided to take that from the national and promoted it throughout Massachusetts via grant, so we were able to do it. So in 2015, we did our first 12-week Aging Mastery Program with 30 people to begin with, and there was a little bit of attrition, but in the end, we completed, I believe it was 22 or 3 of the participants throughout the 12 weeks who received lots of different information on a weekly topic basis that would reinforce or help them begin to integrate habits and practices that contributed to better, healthier aging, longer aging. So it was wonderful, and we were able to do it again with some extra funding we received through, very nicely, a grant that came to us through the Harvard Community Health Foundation and a resident of Scituate. So that was great. That supported that again for a
Harvard
second
Pilgrim.
year. Harvard Pilgrim.
Correct, yeah.
Thank you. So that's a little bit about, of course, what I do. Overall, of course, we want to provide connections and opportunities through stimulation, recreation, comfort, assistance, education, support.
Right.
It does run the gamut, and sometimes it just comes down to company, creating or making
Social.
new friends. It's social,
Yep.
almost creating another future, which can happen at any stage in life, and we'd love to be able to see that happen a little bit more. Obviously, of course, we have, in terms of staff and areas within the senior center, we have a full-time transportation coordinator, which is a really busy spot, which we provide rides, of course, locally to any of our Scituate residents over 60, as well as under 60 disabled.
And just let me interrupt.
Mm-hmm.
This is in conjunction, not associated with GATRA.
Not loosely associated.
It's a Council on Aging van. Yes, no?
We have 3 vans,
Okay.
2 of which are noted as Council on Aging, Scituate Council on Aging vans, which were acquired through different means. We have a 3rd van, which was provided by GATRA, actually,
Okay.
because GATRA funds the budget through the town, and we operate within this budget, but we did go to GATRA, as I knew we could. They do provide vans to municipalities. So that gives us 3 vans.
Okay.
We generally run 1 a day, but we could run 2, but that depends on what we have for drivers. But that's the idea. People call in, they can go anywhere in and around Scituate, to and from, small fee, $1.50 each way. Since the Sloop has come in, which is the public service.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I meant, when I said GATRA, I meant the Sloop.
The Sloop.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
that was brought in through the town administrator and working with GATRA to provide that extra
Right.
service.
So we have Sloop
to-
going on a schedule around town.
To the
and
public,
we have,
to the whole public.
Right. In addition, we have.
Right. I mean, the Sloop serves, honestly,
Right.
many seniors who prefer it's scheduled, but they don't have to call for it, so they just have to time themselves, obviously,
Right.
and get to a stop. But all adults, obviously, and I think kids take great advantage of it as
Yep.
well. Students.
Coming home from school.
Absolutely.
Right.
My own son does that. But GATRA still has a lot to say about how our services are performed, or maybe policies that we need to apply to the service. And even the fees, have become a little bit, they've wanted some consistency throughout the towns that they serve. So they are regional. So there are, if I'm not mistaken, 28 towns that they serve. So that's transportation, yes.
Transportation
she's
is covered in a couple of different ways.
She has a busy role fielding those calls. And I will also say, and with each of our additional segments, so this is our introductory segment where we just wanted to talk in general about what we do at the senior center, potentially. But with each new program, we hope to bring in any of the staff or town officials or community resource that could help help the public better understand what they do or what is available to them. So that's the hope. But in addition to transportation, we have an outreach coordinator, and as well as her, who helps with applications for assistance and generally any supportive service that someone might be seeking. And she's got a great line on resources that might be available, whether through the state or privately or federally.
Assistance being fuel assistance?
Could be fuel assistance,
Okay.
monetary, food,
Yep.
lots of
Yep. Okay.
available resources. In addition, we have a volunteer SHINE counselor. SHINE stands for Serving the Health Information Needs of Everyone, generally 65 and over, for medical, Medicaid, transition, as you retire, what's happening, what do you need to do. It's complicated to navigate, and Norman makes that really seem so much simpler to them, or at least helps.
A huge resource for people.
Huge. So that money provided through the state is also very well spent in terms of the volunteers who are available at each of the councils on aging. We also bring in professionals who offer their services on a limited basis, but legal, financial, as well, monthly, anyway.
Tax assistance, yes?
Tax assistance, we don't have here, and I'm not really sure. We would love to have a volunteer to help out with tax preparation for seniors, but thus far, I have not been able to find that person, and even AARP, which many of the centers have been able to use, but it still involves volunteers who are willing to be in that location. So they haven't been able to provide us with anything as yet either.
Okay.
Luckily, Marshfield and Hingham both have volunteers who are working there, and our seniors can call them.
Great.
And that's the information we give out at this point. But we'd love to have some on-site help, which would be great, or at least local help would be wonderful. So we do have social services, a social services manager who works with the Council on Aging for many of the issues revolving around remote or at-home seniors, more frail elders that she deals with. And then, of course, you know, the lifeblood for us in terms of bringing people in is our programs and activities, as well as our volunteers. So we have a part-time person who is a double bill, both programs and activities and volunteer coordination. So it is a big job to do that. But many of the programs that we tout at this point, evidence-based educational, evidence-based wellness programs, generally speaking. I talked about the Aging Mastery, but there are others that evidence-based simply means proven. We follow sort of a prefabricated curriculum in some cases, the facilitators. So the Aging Mastery set topics.
Covering things like nutrition,
yes,
exercise,
yes,
intellectual stimulation?
Yes.
Okay.
Community connectedness, sometimes prescription management, maybe communicating with your healthcare professionals, so it does follow. Healthy eating then is its own evidence-based workshop.
Sure.
That came through another agency. That's a 6-week workshop, which we just started with last year, as well as a chronic disease self-management titled My Life, My Health, which is a little vague, but basically it is something that helps people who have some conditions that they do need to manage, and instead of being tied always to the healthcare system, need to learn maybe how they can manage on their own, you know, be happier living with certain things, whether it's diabetes or a heart condition or something else.
Yeah, sure.
So that's actually a wonderful and ongoing right now, in fact. So there are others that we could take advantage of. I even lead a Tai Chi for healthy aging, and that did come to me when I was in Duxbury through a grant, which was happened through the Department of Public Health on the state level.
So you're leading a class both for exercise and for healthy living.
It is. You know, balance and fall prevention is huge. And anything regarding that, usually there is a lot behind that, whether it's funding or help with developing programs. So that's been twofold. So I've been doing the Tai Chi for healthy aging, as it's called, but it is for better balance, and I've been doing that for 3.5 years, 3 years here. Because it was grant funded, I do it for free. That hasn't changed yet. And it runs for a 24-week cycle, and I think I am finishing my 4th cycle with the people from Scituate. And frankly, because it is the only Tai Chi class we have at this time, they're welcome to continue beyond the 24 weeks. It's just not as rigid as some evidence-based programs have had to be to meet the requirements.
Okay.
So that you see the results that are intended. But in our case, they do see results. It's fabulous for them. It's multifaceted. It is exercise. It is
absolutely.
Very successful in improving balance for people. It's meditative. It's social. They make connections there, and honestly, they really have enjoyed coming back. I have people who maybe were in the first segment back in 2014 who every now and then will see, can I come back? Can I do, and of course they can. It's nice. Nice for people to see them or for them to be reacquainted with some of the practices.
Good refresher.
Refresher. So that's been awesome. But last year we were able to get another grant through the Mass Council on Aging in a program that was developed, that I was able to acquire, I guess I would say. We named it Balance for Life. It's ongoing, so once the grant was actually finished, they were willing to pay for it, and then I was able to use a different grant so that we could cut that in half. So they just love it. They do that 2 times a week with the same instructor, and she's been wonderful for us. So anyway, I thought I had the numbers, but I would say she's anywhere from 12 to 20 people in each class, twice a week. So it's great for them.
So you've talked a little bit about transportation, outreach, and social services. How about some of the other programs?
The other programs, and there are so many. So we have a great, as I started to talk about.
That's why I opened the door for you.
Well, so we have weekly as well as sort of monthly and periodic programming. But our weekly, much of it is exercise, fitness, wellness oriented, and well attended. And statistically, the state collects information, of course, from us every year. People often start coming for the exercise and wellness programs. They may come into that because they've been volunteering and they see it, which does often happen for the couple of classes we're able to hold at the senior center. Otherwise, of course, we're off-site and people don't get to see many of those.
Right.
But our yoga is great, the Balance for Life I mentioned, Zumba, which has started to increase in numbers. I don't want to forget anybody really. Our cardio class, which we do get to hold at the senior center once and at our off-site locations a second time each week. And we have another that we pay for through a grant that is a gentler form of exercise, mostly seated, and that's done by physical therapists through Norwell VNA, and that's very well received. And in fact, this morning had 10 people. So, and that's twice a week. So those are the exercise classes that I think are wonderful for us to be able to provide.
Well, but there are also learning classes.
There are.
Right.
So we try, and we are trying, and as soon as we have a little bit more space, would love to expand the idea of lifelong learning style programs, series, 6-week classes. We've been lucky to really almost employing Bob Jackman, who's a Marshfield resident, but continually comes up with new topics of interest for primarily local history and special interest topics, but he's prolific and they keep coming, and so it's been wonderful to have that. We did also bring in someone that I had connection with in Duxbury for classical music, just to sort of offset the idea and maybe bring in some different people or people interested in a slightly different topic. So that actually was also well received. We could expand it well beyond into sciences and the arts and writing and
But maritime history or Scituate history or.
So we are these days having a little trouble, fitting things into, a day.
Right.
Have started to do some things a little bit later or even after hours. So we started a meditation class, which is very well received, and that happens when we're finished at 4:30. But certainly.
So you use that to calm down at the end of the day?
Yeah. Well, I haven't. I don't need to do that. I go play tennis.
Okay, good.
But so definitely those are important. The cafe talks that we started were the hope was to be able to utilize the space appropriately, so we're able to provide refreshments thanks to donations from Panera Bread and the supermarkets that are local. And we try 2, maybe 3 times a month to have a topic of interest, whether it is educational, just interesting, health-related, legal, safety, whatever. We do try to vary them. Sometimes we get some big names, and sometimes it is just something that, maybe not everybody needs to hear about, but it is a nice draw. Mm-hmm. So I think that's been successful. In addition, the games, and games can be passive and active, so we had started a mahjong maybe a year and a half ago, thanks to a volunteer who was willing to teach other people to play. And honestly now, although the winter has seen it decrease a little bit. Too many went to Florida. We still have eight or 10 that will come weekly, but it was up to 25 who were really enjoying it. And so that is something, like we said, a new trend that we saw and decided we could bring in, capitalize on that happening. Pickleball is another one I will mention because that is more active and that is certainly...
And popular.
Right. And some people know about it from Florida or from relatives or from parents or whomever might have done it. It's been sweeping the nation for some time. So 2.5 years ago, I think, we did bring it in, started at Jenkins School, which is where it's held. It's gone from once a week to twice a week. It's gone from a sort of core group of maybe 8 women to now 16, maybe 20, maybe
courts.
25, 4 courts.
Right.
And a wide range. So multiple ages for sure are taking advantage of, and men and women both. And it was unfortunate I had a man call this week who was visiting his daughter for school vacation and wanted to play here, but of course it was closed.
Schedules didn't match up.
The school's not open this week,
okay.
so we couldn't play. They couldn't play. So it was unfortunate I had to turn them away, but that's nice that they actually look for it. So that's been a very nice, somewhat trending, nice for people to know about it. It's picking up in most towns now know about it. Marshfield certainly does it, and there are others as well. So that's a few.
How do people find out about all this?
Well, there are so many, we hope, ways to find out what we are doing. Of course, the main way we try to communicate with people is through our newsletter, which is mailed but also online. And you can get it online actually 2 different ways, whether it is through the town website, which is situatema.gov. And then the department, of course, is the Council on Aging. And then there is a link to the newsletter. But also through the publisher of the newsletter, and it's called ourseniorcenter.org, and then we simply look up Scituate. And once it's done, you can actually even get an email when it's
being published
when it's online, which is well before it ends up being mailed.
Right. I think I got mine last week, so.
Wow. So the newsletters are being mailed today for March 1st. So we hope we spend time on it. We've recently increased it. It is only every other month, unless we try to. Actually, I should say our publisher, which is Liturgical Publications, does try to sell ads, and that is how it's supported, so that we don't pay for the publishing or the printing of the newsletter. We do now pay for
Postage?
the mailing and the postage, which is significant, actually. So even at that, we could probably only afford to do that 6 times a year.
Yeah.
But even still. So it's not bad, and we put 2 months' worth of scheduling of activities in the newsletter. In addition, within our database, which is called My Senior Center, and any of our current patrons are in there, we can make voice broadcast calls to remind or alert people to certain things that sometimes they may not have known about, or we want to just reinforce. And they don't seem to mind that. They like the reminders that come in with the phone calls. So we can do that, but it is, it's man-made, so to speak. We have to collect the groups of people who we think might be interested in those calls. So sometimes we hit it, and sometimes, there are others that maybe we miss with that. In addition, of course, we use the Mariner when able, and we are using Facebook, and our page is called Scituate Council on Aging, and we definitely need more friends. So oftentimes it might get picked up by someone else and shared, which we count on, which is very nice, but so we need to increase our readership. So I think.
But people can get some information online. People can get some information by supplying an email.
Yes, and we haven't used that an awful lot. Email has been something that certainly has been inconsistent for us, so we don't use it an awful lot. But for certain programs where they do have emails, then we can use that for
or a phone call, or calling in and asking to get on the mailing list.
Yes. Yep. Dropping in is always good. We can hand you a newsletter and talk with you. So if someone is wondering about what might be good for them to do, we often do that. So that's a pleasure to have people come in. And
what are hours of operation?
We are open 8:30 to 4:30. On Fridays, we close a little bit early at 3 o'clock. The vans run generally within those hours, sometimes a little earlier, just to have them finished by the end of the day. And our medical out-of-town rides follows a slightly different schedule because we don't actually do those rides. We contract those out to a third party. So that's something that I can have Jean talk about when we bring her in for transportation. So yeah, we actually, as I said, have been filling our hours pretty well.
So you're multitasking in a big way.
We are. People would note, of course, that we don't. It would be nice, and we'd love to have lunch at our site, for instance. People love that. Whether it's congregate lunches, which has a place, and I miss seeing, because that really is where people have a chance to connect and really just enjoy a good meal and some company.
It's social.
At a big table. It's social. So the only time we really get to do that ourselves is maybe seasonally through special events, holiday. However, with the cafe, there is such a thing now. Some people or councils on aging are doing cafe-style lunches, and both maybe, so that there are those who are coming in for exercise or a meeting or a game, but they do need to dash. They have other plans, but they'd like some lunch, some food. So much like stopping at Starbucks, they could pick it up, they could sit with a friend, but eat in 10 minutes, and then dash out for whatever it is they're going to. So that's something we'd like to work on. There are lunches in town supported by others. So South Shore Elder Services does a 3-day-a-week lunch at the Harbor Methodist Church on First Parish.
Right.
And one of the other churches, the Congregational Church on Country Way, has a volunteer lunch on Thursdays at noon. And that is well attended, and a lot of people do like that. So when we do our lunches, we try to do them on Tuesdays so as not to conflict, but I would like to see that happen if we did have more space to use and could somehow still have activities at the same time. But we can't do that right now where we are.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We may be coming to our close here. Do we want to... We talked about maybe touching on a couple of current issues.
We did, and I don't want to forget those.
I can think of two.
Okay.
March 10th.
March 10th, yes. I certainly do want to close without forgetting to talk about that. So we have a very special event planned for March 10th.
At the River Club.
At the River Club, which, it's funny.
Featuring
That's the one thing I did,
Irish
so
music.
I can talk about that easily. It is. It's a grant I wrote to the Cultural Council to support an opportunity to have a type of entertainment and music that everyone here, of course, loves. Everybody's Irish in Scituate, at least in March. And I did know of musicians who I really wanted to bring and have other people enjoy and hear. So we have Rose Clancy, who's from the Cape, who is the fiddler, and a couple of other musicians who are playing with her instrumentally, vocally very strong, Irish music. And the Cultural Council did support that grant for partially supporting the entertainment, at least. And then the River Club was very interested when I was looking for a venue in helping to bring the event to the seniors. They really wanted to do something nice and reached out and
very generous.
are
Opening their doors.
providing not just the venue, but a buffet dinner for everyone. So it really should be a nice event. But the idea for the event really was to integrate seniors, a social evening out. It's at 6 o'clock until 8 o'clock in the evening, early evening. Doors are open at 5:30. But with the rest of the community, with family, friends, neighbors, and just enjoy something together without segregating them, to a lunch, into something that seems to be more geared towards that particular age group, but isn't necessarily. And I had been asked for more evening things, just some more fun social events that brought them out and engaged them in the community. So that's what I'm hoping for. So it's open to everyone. It is a community event. Tickets are $7 in advance at the Senior Center, or Goodies 2, or Hennessy's. They all have them. And then we'll continue to sell a limited number at the door for a little more at $12.
So Friday, March 10th, River Club. An Irish night out.
Irish night out. Please come.
Okay.
Be great.
And our second, I know, because I've been involved a little bit in this, there is an initiative to help people through the Council on Aging who may need help getting rid of ice and black ice and some snow on their walkways. So the Council on Aging, along with the local Rotary High School group, the Interact Club, is providing free
Free.
sand buckets.
Sand buckets filled with sand when we
right.
deliver them, just to keep on your doorstep if you would like, which we are still able to do. So we had ordered about 50 of these, had them printed with the Town of Scituate seal and the Interact Club logo. We had Interact Club students, who are the young Rotarians from the high school, make an initial delivery with people that had known about it, learned about it through one of our talks, or that we knew from transportation might be able to use these, because they need to get from their doors down a walkway to either their cars or our vans.
And I think it was purely serendipitous, but we were able to get that to a lot of people before the storms a week and a half ago.
Exactly.
Right?
So the weather has cooperated since then to make this seem less urgent, but they are still available. If anyone is interested, we'd love to deliver them to you. Again, just something to sit, sprinkle the sand, strictly sand, no salt in
Right.
it. We just determined that was the best and the most needed at this.
So we need people to call in to the Council on Aging and make a request.
Yep. Make a request.
It's,
And for
it's free.
anything, yeah.
The students will go and fill it with sand and deliver it to the home.
If you haven't seen a newsletter, all of our emails are on it. Our phone number for the Senior Center, one main number, 781-545-8722, for any of us generally. And we'd love to have you call or stop in at any time with questions. Always available.
And we look forward to bringing seniorities again to you soon.
Again, I'm Linda Hayes, Council on Aging Director for the Senior Center at 27 Brook Street.
I'm J.D. Miller, Chairman of the Board of the Scituate Council on Aging.